What it is, YouTube, mostly folks. It's Deadlifts Day. Deadlifts plus all manner of sort of, I guess, functional fitness stuff. The heavy set today was 245. I got 14 reps, which I feel good about considering the fact that I got 2 pairs of Moxie socks on because my shin is still kind of mangled from a box jump strikeout 2 weeks ago. So you know how the mangly shin and the deadlift can kind of work together to be a real painful experience. So I had to be a little more careful than usual. And under the circumstances, I feel like 14 reps. I feel like my grip was kind of sizzling at me on rep. Because I thought about a 15th rep and I was like, I could probably do it, but my grip feels questionable in only one of my hands. And one time I had a scenario where one of my hands let go on a deadlift, so I get a little nervous about it when I think maybe I don't have it, because with only one hand letting go and the other hand not is you will be injured right that second, which is what happened the last time I think that happened. Maybe I didn't get injured, but it was really dicey. So when I get that kind of sensation, I usually just let it roll for the one, not push the one more rep. But for my grip to be the reason why I had to worry about more reps, that is a good sign when I was trying to avoid pain to my shin or some other thing being a distracting factor. And I don't really feel like it happened. Although I feel like on the deadlift, interestingly, I had a client had a toothache, came in, a personal training client, came in at the beginning of the session, had a toothache that just started, like 10 seconds before she walked in. And during the warm-up sets, it was like really irritating, like totally distracting, So I was like, let's do like the heaviest deadlift you've ever done in your life right now. Was my thought process, because I'm thinking like maybe I can get her nerves to just shut off by getting her to pull real heavy. And sure enough, we went ahead and did that, and she set a PR immediately. And then she said she felt fine. She didn't have a toothache anymore, pretty much for the rest of the workout. I'm sure it came back later on, but I feel like the deadlift can kind of overload your nervous system to where it just mutes, and it also produces so much of that natural sort of Novocaine or whatever to make you feel better about the situation, that it actually causes pain relief on anything else that might be going on, especially something unrelated to it, where it draws blood flow maybe away from it, so it doesn't have as much, maybe the nerves don't focus as much on telling you that information. I did 5 sets of 10 each leg on these step-ups. I'm really kind of trying to get my jumping game up, because I like to play basketball, and I figure it's a useful skill. So trying to get the one-legged stuff, for the coming off one to maybe try to dunk. That's the strengthening that movement pattern is going to be skill specific to jumping on the goal. And also, I had been doing box jumps, right? At this gym, I got 2 gyms I got access to, and this gym has the highest box. The highest box it has is 30 inches, and we're killing the 30-inch box right now, so it's kind of like we've kind of taken that to its ultimate conclusion. So my thought is I'm going to go to depth jumps, which are these right here, which basically you step down off a box. This is kind of a high starting point. I'm just kind of like, I feel like I play basketball a lot, so I feel a little conditioned to this. I mean, this could be a mistake, and I could, want to go down, but it doesn't feel bad right now. I do feel like really sore on days when I've done this so far Sunday, and I felt really sore by Tuesday everywhere. And I do feel like the impact from this is probably what's causing that. This is just basically taking impact and trying to convert it into a higher jump. And so, I mean, obviously there's just a million things, a million concerns that come up when you're purposefully conditioning to impact. But I hit my butt on the box. Don't do that. And so, it's kind of like I think important to build this conditioning, since I'm doing it anyway in a sport that I'm playing all the time. I'm liable to injure myself if I'm not real good at it, so I might as well become like, get my tendons and everything really springy. And they say this really brings up your absolute strength, like, a lot. In some studies I've seen, where gymnasts or somebody else did it, and then their absolute strength on their compound movements went up on the basis of adding these. that's kind of, or I think where they were just training those, they would like test their compound movement, train these, then test it later and see if they got stronger, and they got significantly stronger. And I can see why. It's like you're taking impact and you're just letting it just sort of slam down into your tendons and all this, and the multiple pounds of pressure that happens when you jump off is supposedly almost kind of quasi exponential. Where when you get up to like 4 feet or whatever, it kind of gets to be a
I won't do the video for
it
that,
gets to
man.
be a lot of damage to your body to absorb this kind of thing. I mean, people do it. They fall off stuff, they jump off stuff, and they don't necessarily break something that time. But, they are taking in more force, like let's say jumping off a 4 or 5 foot box than you could ever get doing squats, because you just don't have the strength. You can probably sustain collision impact more poundage than you can actually sit there and do a movement with it. But the point here is to be able to ultimately to be able to sprint. Yeah, there I just like completely deer legged. Like, I guess my quads just got tired. They just gave out. When you're like running towards a goal, for example, in basketball, and you're running really fast, I see this as giving me the potential to learn how to convert that couple steps right before the jump into a higher jump. I mean, it kind of happens naturally. I don't know if it happens naturally or through training, but if you watch like people who can jump really high, I mean, they don't really. It's not like they run up and jump and squat down and go into something and then they jump. I mean, it's just like they run, and their hip goes into, a little like 45-degree angle on their knee, and then they're just up there. And it just almost looks like magic. Why can they run straight and then jump so high, like so quick? Like, how does that work? And I guess part of that is just conditioning your body to kind of convert action, and training your nerves to really efficiently fire your actual strength and power in the direction that you're trying to go. Because, I mean, with jumping, there's so many directions you can go with jumping. That alone, like picking the wrong arc angle is going to drastically affect how high you can jump. You know what I mean? That's just like, obviously, a critical element in the execution of you have a goal that you're trying to reach, and you're trying to get better at it, or you're trying to reach a certain point with it, or any of that kind of stuff. Like, you kind of need to have a serious, kind of like when you're bench pressing, the bar path is majorly important in terms of how much force it takes to actually produce the reps. So like if you don't have a smooth bar path that's going straight up and down on the bench press, you're probably exerting too much energy, and you're either not going to get as many reps as you could have got, be able to press the weight. So it's really important to have an efficient pattern. And with jumping, it's the same thing. Like, you want that correct direction that you're going in to make sure that your force is actually projecting you all that way. So after the depth jumps, I threw those in before hanging leg raises just to make sure that my core didn't feel broken before I, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I do these after deadlifts, after those step ups, and then start slamming my body with some impact, I'm asking to just fully break something in my back off. Like, I feel like that's kind of going a little too far. So I figure I can auto-regulate better if I just go ahead and do the collision before and then turn around and then work on this after. Now, I've seen some people recommend doing box jumps before deadlifts, which, I don't know. I mean, kind of seems stupid, but maybe it's not stupid. Maybe it would really get your nerves ready to deadlift, I may have to think about looking at that. Maybe decreasing the number of them or something, and then doing it, and maybe doing some more after. Or I don't know. Something. It seems like there could be some sense to that, but I also see that being really taxing. Like, the other day I tried jump roping, which I don't really do very often. And about 30 seconds of jump roping, I was like, man, you can't do this for really long. I mean, I've got really good cardio too. Like, obviously I'm not conditioned to the jump roping, and there's a lot of thinking involved also in the jump roping. So there's a number of different elements at play. But it's not, when people that use that as a warm-up, you really got to be conditioned to that exercise to use it as a warm-up. Like, it might have to be later in the rotation until you're good at it, and then a warm-up, because you may find yourself blown out doing it if you're not used to it. That's kind of my fear with depth jumps, that I'm just going to be so rattled and torn up, and I'll start doing my compound movements and I'll suck at it or whatever. But I could also see it really being energizing and kind of like waking my nerves up real good, and kind of really warming the body up really good. Like if I, did some bodyweight squats or something, and also 5 minutes on the elliptical first, and then did them maybe. I could see it. I feel nervous just coming in and doing them first. That would be stupid. You just shatter your body to bits. I mean, you gotta be warm. But I could see placing it between, at a warm up on the elliptical, 10 or so body weight squats or something, and then bam, doing that. I feel like that could be a pretty productive program adjustment. But I don't know. I have to see how my body reacts to it, because the other day they made me so sore that I feel like they made me more sore than squats did. So I could be wrong. Maybe I just really killed it on the squats, but the thing that really seemed to be the X factor, the difference, was that I had added those in, So, it is what it is, man. Depth jumps. I'm getting stoked on it. Next is going to be depth jump to the box. And then if I can depth jump to that 30-inch box, I'll consider, this category of jumping drills kind of done. And maybe it's time to just work on vertical jumps or something, or start trying to just dunk the basketball and see what happens. Like, comment, and subscribe. I sure do appreciate all your time. Peace.